Hey there, thanks for tuning into DuckBricks. I'm Chris, and today we're going to be doing a review of the brand new LEGO Ninjago Dragons Rising Temple of the Dragon Energy Cores, which is a really ornate, beautiful looking pagoda with some very mysterious minifigures included as well. This is the big location style build for this season of Ninjago, and I cannot wait to actually get this built and reviewed for all of you. So before we jump in, definitely stay tuned to DuckBricks for reviews of not only this, but the entirety of the brand new LEGO Ninjago Dragons Rising wave coming your way very soon. Let's jump in right now. Alright, so this is the Temple of the Dragon Energy Cores. It comes with 6 minifigures and retails for $95 or 95 euros, which honestly is not that bad compared to what I was expecting. You see, throughout this wave we've gotten several sets that are relatively overpriced. The Elemental Dragon versus the Empress Mech and the Destiny's Bounty both feel a little bit too expensive for what you're getting, but this being under $100 actually feels pretty okay to me, and I'll talk more about that as we go through the review. This comes with 1,029 pieces, putting it at a 9.2 cent price per part ratio, which is a little bit of an outdated metric nowadays because there's so many other factors to consider, from new dual molded elements to large elements, but for the most part that gives you a bit of an idea in terms of how the value stacks up for the set. And essentially what you see in front of you is basically everything that's included in the set. There are very few side builds unless you count this particular weapon stand, which really could be just used as part of the temple itself, and really all of the budget and all of the effort went into just creating this temple as it is. So we'll take a look at the minifigures first. Now, mind you, I already did a very long mega review showcasing every single minifigure in this wave, so do go check that out if you have not already, where I gave my very in-depth thoughts on the new suits, how the armor pieces work and whatnot, so we'll just give a very brief overview for this review. Kai here has some nice fire marking on the side of his face. You can also rotate the head around so you can get the other expression showcased right there. And if you want to see what the heads look like, that's what the printing looks like there. A nice smile for Kai that feels very in character. And then on the back you have the Dragons Rising logo. Now, my biggest complaint about the way that these work is that unfortunately you cannot really turn the heads for posing. I really wish you were able to turn the heads, but unfortunately you just cannot do that with the mask on. Next up, we have Nia. Nia has some nice water detail on the sides of the mask as well, with some really cool water droplets on the top that honestly aren't really even visible when the mask top piece is on. You also can have the alternate expression being used right there, 2 very good expressions. And here we have a standard smile on one side, which I think fits the character quite well, as well as the Dragons Rising symbol on the back, and I really do love the mix between the dark red highlights, but also you have mostly an azure and silver gunmetal grayish color scheme, which fits Nia's color scheme over the years. The final Ninja minifigure included is Cole here. Now Cole is really included only in this set and one other set, so he is one of the rarer figures of the wave. He has some nice earth printing on the side of the mask there. You can rotate the head around so you can see what the alternate expression looks like on the face itself. It's a very simple print. All the ninja nowadays have very simplified prints for their main uniforms to really make them feel like a cohesive team, but I don't necessarily mind that because it does really make the villains stand out. As compared to these very simple and smooth designs, the villains have a ton of details. Starting off with the main villain himself, Lord Roz. This is one of the 4 sets he appears in, so thankfully he is a pretty common minifig throughout the wave. Lord Roz is a really nicely done minifigure with excellent arm printing. I think my only complaint is that unfortunately they did not print the teeth, so he has the same issue the Crystal King had with Crystallized, where the teeth really blend into the black fur. Removing the armor piece, which every single minifigure in Imperium has, you can see a very highly detailed dark red regal robe befitting his status as a lord, and alongside him we have Empress Beatrix. This is the second set that she appears in. Unfortunately she is only in 2 of the larger sets, this and the Empire Mech versus the Elemental Dragon, but you can see here this is what she looks like. The back of the expression is not fully covered up by the hair, but they did an okay job of showing it. You have a scowl on one side and a very angry expression on the other side, and she is wielding the brand new dual molded gunmetal gray and transparent orange blade, which is a really nice new piece. Might be one of my favorite new pieces that they introduced for Ninjago weaponry. Removing the armor, you can see this is what the torso, front, and back look like. Some nice printed detail in terms of these technological robes, and altogether, this is a really cool villain minifigure. Lastly, there is one exclusive minifigure to the set, and as of the time of this recording, the TV show has not been released yet. It will release in just a few days, but this is a mysterious spirit of the temple. I have no idea what the backstory is behind this. We have gotten some episode descriptions that mention a strange apparition, so I would imagine it has something to do with that, but I just really love the design of this figure. It feels very unique. You have dark green, lime green, and black being integrated really well together. I love that you can see the faces of spirits within his torso itself, and he does have an alternate expression. That one's a more frightful ghost-like one, and this one is a very muted black on dark green printing for kind of an old man with a beard. I have no idea what that's about. I'm very excited to see what the backstory is behind this guy in the new show, because it seems like a pretty interesting minifigure to include, and a good exclusive one for a wave that honestly doesn't have a ton of exclusive figures. Moving onwards to the main build itself, this is the Temple of the Dragon Energy Cores. There's one tiny side build featuring a golden bladed weapon. Now, I have no idea if this will actually be relevant in the TV show, or is this something they just made up for the sets, but what is really nice is they have introduced a brand new printed minifigure head for the lanterns there, showcasing a more oriental design. This is new for this set, and so far only appears in this set, so it's really cool that they actually made a new print, although I can imagine this print will be utilized in future sets, especially even for stuff like Lunar New Year stuff. I feel like this could really work as a nice print. You have some ghostly energy seeping through the cracks there. This seems to be a very story-driven set, and I'm quite excited to see exactly what the, well, story is behind this. Now, this temple has a lot of interesting features to it, and the main feature or play aspect of the temple itself is the fact that you can kind of cause it to self-destruct, whether that is because of a battle or because of some ancient curse. I don't really know. Obviously, we don't know based on the story yet, but the way it works is that you have a lever here, which can cause part of the bridge to collapse. You can twist a knob at the back, which just causes this to fall over and kind of block the entrance. And then, when you rotate it all the way around, there is one more destruction feature where you can see here, or I guess a couple more destruction features in the interior, where you can just twist this knob here and cause that rock to either fall on someone's head or just burst upwards. And then you can see some newly printed 2x2 cylindrical tiles there. You can pull the bar out, and they kind of roll downwards and cascade and collapse on the ground. I don't know, again, what the story is behind this. The show is not out yet at the time of this recording, so I'm sure that in a few days I will be very understanding of, oh yeah, that's that moment in the show when this happened. But obviously, the show isn't out yet, so I can really only speculate as to why the temple is being destroyed. That being said, I really do like how they made so many different attempts at having more interesting destruction mechanisms throughout the set. They're all fairly simple on their own, but they do tell a story, and it's really cool how this set is a playset that does tell a story. Now, taking a look at the exterior of the temple itself, this is one of the most beautiful Ninjago temples that we have gotten so far. I absolutely love the aesthetic and how they basically worked within the confines of the price, where they have a really nice tree growing out of the side of the temple. Obviously, you have a very narrow temple here that's very vertical. It really feels very geometric in the way that this is set up, where you have very sharp angles and curves and whatnot, which I think is a really cool design, and it really is a good contrast in these sharp angles here, and then you move onwards to the organic sculpting of the tree, where you're utilizing these windscreen pieces that were used for stuff like General Grievous' Starfighter back in the Clone Wars and whatnot, but you can see those pieces being colored in brown to really form the shaping of the tree itself, which is a really nice design. I love these little shrine type elements here. Again, built super simply, but they really do add a lot of character and detail to the set. It almost looks like there are faces on the front of the temple as well, like two eyes and a nose. Don't know if that's what they were going for, but I do like the amount of detail there. And then zooming in so we can get a closer look at all of these little details. You have some nice rock work on the front, almost like a wishing well on the side here. Some nice tree work on the side. You can move upwards and see all the detail on that massive tree. One of my favorite points of detail here is the bridge itself. So moving over to here, you have a nice brick-built bridge utilizing studs on the side techniques. Obviously, you have the collapsing element and a specialized flag to trigger it, but I like the color scheme being more of an autumny fall type color scheme. You have a nice emblem in the center there that is fully brick built up, a bit of a chain featuring some painted flags or hanging flags there, doors that do open with the dragon symbol on them, and of course at the very top you have one of the dragon energy cores. Now this one in gold and clear is not exclusive to the set, it does appear in all of the Spinjitzu spinner sets of this wave, but it is nice. Clearly that is a very important collectible to get, and at the very top you have a bell, which is a nice integration, and I do like how the roof almost appears cracked at the very top. Now, that is basically how the exterior of the temple is built. Moving onwards to the back, we can take a look at the interior design here, and there's a few interesting details that you can point out to take a note of. Down here, you have a nice sticker showcasing the different dragon energy cores. It's almost like a library of sorts. Obviously, the doors open up. There's that knob to actuate the falling tree. Up here, you just have some candles as well as the falling rock piece. I'm assuming that this little rock element is where you can actually put the spirit, so you can kind of put the spirit here. He is surrounded by candles, and then maybe the attack is like he's flipping downwards or flying down towards you. What with that being about, again, don't know the story yet, but it looks like a nice enough place to put him. And then you go on up here and you basically see the bridge. This is a nice way to hold the core, so the dragon energy core is being held there, and you can even cause the bell to sway back and forth, so you can give it a good old dong like so. It's a very simple set in terms of the interior design, and they really spent a lot of the budget and a lot of the effort in terms of having the exterior look really good, but I do appreciate how they did try to give it some sort of an interior, even though they were pretty constricted in terms of budget and space. So you can see some nice dragon details here. There's a whole sorts of stickers being utilized for telling the story of what's inside this temple. And then overall, here you can see the outside of the building, which again looks really good for a, I wouldn't say particularly extremely large Ninjago temple. It's kind of more of middle of the road when it comes to Ninjago temples. We've had bigger ones, we've had smaller ones. This one is a little bit bigger than average, but it's not one of the biggest. I still think that this has a really good design to it. Again, the contrast between the nature of the tree growing out of the side of the temple is a really smart idea, and I personally cannot wait to see this in the show. So in terms of concluding thoughts, I think that this is actually one of the Ninjago 2023 Dragons Rising sets that has fairly okay value. For a lot of them, again, I feel like the value just wasn't quite there, but for $95, I'm actually pretty happy with the set. Now, could it have been cheaper, like $80, $85, $90? Maybe, but I definitely feel like it is not as egregiously bad as a lot of the other sets in this wave are. Unfortunately, really overpriced, and this one kind of managed to avoid some of that. I still do think it could be a little bit cheaper with what you actually have in hand, but it is a very sizable temple. It looks really good, and is yet another amazing temple to add to the already great Ninjago buildings collection. I just wish that they were able to design this at a larger price point. Imagine if this was the $130 set. I would love to see a temple of this style in a much, much bigger form. But that's all I have for this review, and thanks so much for watching. Of course, this has just been my opinion, so do let me know yours in the comments down below. Alright, and with that, we have summed up our look at the Temple of the Dragon Energy Cores. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the set? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? How do you think it compares next to some of the other LEGO Ninjago Pagoda and Temple style builds? And how do you think it ranks next to all of the other sets? With that, we've summed up this video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.